What is up, everyone? Welcome to episode 55, Cups and New Arenas of the Sports Hour Plus with Miller and Watson. A little bit of a slower week in sports this week. Not a lot of NBA, not a lot of college basketball. Of course, there's still drama. There's still stuff to talk about. But we're gonna probably dive right in. Haven't had, for me, it's been freezing up here in Connecticut. Just absolutely so cold. So I have been staying inside, drinking my coffee. I got a little bit of a late start today, so I will be eating my bagel as the show goes on. So excuse me for that. But yeah. So Kylan, how you been?
I've been pretty good. It's just as cold here in Philly. We had a 63 plus degree day, but it was also rained all day. So, not what's good is a hot day if it rains. Even though we all do need the rain, because for those of you that don't know, the Northeast has been going through like a drought, so, like a mini drought, with no rain. Maybe not in Connecticut, but down here we have been.
No, it's been. It actually looks like it's going to be the first nice day in a few days. It's not raining anymore, so that's nice.
Yeah, so we definitely have needed that rain. I know for some of y'all hoping for that white Christmas, which will probably not happen. Hasn't happened in like 30 years, but maybe you'll get it if you live in the Poconos. Yeah, so yeah, it's been pretty good, pretty easy week so far. Hopefully it stays that way. A little bit of drama here, which we'll get into later with that Sixers arena clearing the first hurdle, and the final hurdle was next week. But we'll get into that and all the drama, all the feelings over facts, and all the other stuff that's been going on down here because people are so hype about a new arena in downtown Philadelphia. So we will get we will get into that. But yeah, nothing. Week's been pretty good. Pretty slow week. No game. So that's been you need that a couple of weeks before Christmas, get that shopping done, which
Yeah.
I am behind on. So I need to hit Amazon fast. So, but yeah. Nelson, you're good as well. Nothing interesting. You probably more in front of your holiday shopping than I am.
I am. All my holiday shopping is done.
Ah,
Yeah, you can see my tree in the background. Has all of our presents underneath it. We're going up to my in-laws for Christmas, so got everything done. My mom's coming up. We're going into the city. We're gonna go see a Broadway show, which I'm super excited about.
what are you seeing, Anne Juliet?
No, we're seeing Death Becomes Her.
Oh, the ultimate chick movie. I got you.
Yeah, so should be really
That's
fun. I've gotten great reviews. It has a
that's
great
got
cast.
that's got Michelle in it from Destiny's Child, right?
Yeah, Michelle. Michelle. It has Megan Hilty from Smash, if you know her from there, or from Broadway, however you know her. So it should be fun. It should be a really fun day. So,
All right.
all right, but
Cool.
less Broadway, more sports. Let's go. So this news. Oh, make sure you follow us on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Give us a follow. We'll be tweeting throughout the holidays. We'll probably take the week of Christmas off, just because there's so much going on. Not really a great time to do the pod.
Yeah,
Um,
stay tuned. We will we'll probably just do a loaded show the week before.
yeah, and a
Yeah.
loaded one after. So, so give us a follow for all of the takes, especially on Christmas. I know there's lots of games. There's football. There's basketball. So give us a follow there. So
I mean, let's be real. Y'all only tuning into those football games for Mariah and Beyonce. I mean, the Kansas City game will be good, more than likely, or the Steelers will blow them out. They'll probably both be blowouts, like it was last year. So, you know.
Kylan's scarred from last year when the Giants almost beat the Eagles.
Hey, I don't have to worry about it this year. That's the Steelers fans' problem now. It's not mine. I don't have to worry about that one.
Yeah, I just don't understand. Like, why?
What?
Why do we always have to play these games?
Yeah. Hey, the NFL wants Christmas, but I mean, like I said, I mean, if you're on Netflix, you kind of have an audience that's kind of tight. But we'll get into that later. But let's get into the news, man. Odell Morgan kind of teased it. Don't know what happened to her. You You still
Sorry,
there?
I'm on my other way. I'm on my iPad and I
Okay.
clicked the wrong StreamYard.
Okay. All right. Cool. I was like, oh, she disappeared. Odell Beckham Jr. and the Miami Dolphins agreed to a mutual release. Morgan was sleeping, so she kind of just found out about this news.
And this popped up, and I was like, wait, what? I literally slept until 10:58 this morning.
Yeah.
I'm growing a baby. It's very hard. It's very difficult.
Also, you deserve it because you're still in your football hell until February. So
yeah.
Which again, we love football, but some of us have to do a lot of work to get this football content to y'all. And Morgan's one of those people. So when we say football hell, I mean,
but this is crazy. I mean, well, it's not crazy. He's done nothing for Miami all year. All right. I just kind of wonder what is his end goal?
Another championship, but I'm not really sure like what team wants him, right? Like at this point, I guess his best shot is Pittsburgh, because they need a receiver. What's going on with Pickens?
I mean, or the Bills, I guess.
Or the Bills. Like I really don't. You're right. I don't know what the end goal is. Like at this point, he's just a glorified slot receiver, because most contending teams have a number 1 and a number 2. So I mean, unless he thinks he can like do well in like Detroit or somewhere. I mean, he'd be the number 1 in Detroit if he went there. But I'm not sure what he wants. If we're being honest here, I thought being in Miami would be good for him, but apparently that didn't work out. So, I don't really. I think Odell, he has his 1 Super Bowl ring. I know he wants to, I guess, participate at another one and not get hurt during it. But that's more than what most players get, and he's solidified. I think he should. Honestly, if he doesn't get into on a team in like the next 2 years and actually stick with one, he needs to retire.
Yeah, I dealt with Odell for years on the Giants, and when he's good, he's good. But the toxicity that he can bring to a locker room, I just don't think it's worth it. Like, some of these teams are so gelled right now. You're finding a way to win with, I don't know. I understand him not wanting to be on Miami right now. I do. Like, because he's not really doing much. But, like, and I know it's not, like, technically legal, or maybe it is during the season. I don't really know how it works. But I would have to assume he's had talks with people, right? Because you wouldn't just leave if he didn't have something lined up, right?
Yeah. I mean, we assume that, but you never know. I mean, teams lie all the time. You know what I jokingly say the NFL stands for, not for long. So I'm of the mindset that, he has to have something. If he doesn't, then this was a dumb move. But hopefully he has something. Maybe he'll end up with the Chiefs. They need all the help they can get. Like, who knows? I mean, I know most people in the AFC don't want to hear that, but you gotta fit the dominoes in where they may at this point, right?
He'd be a perfect fit in the Chiefs, personality-wise, too.
Yeah, like the only teams. I mean, if he's staying in the AFC, the only couple of teams I can see doing that right now that need help: the Steelers, the Chiefs, the Bills. You brought up the Texans. Like, I can see those 4 teams doing it. But outside of that, I don't really see it. But that doesn't mean that a team in the NFC like the Lions, who we love Jameson Williams, but you can't really count on him. So maybe they want some insurance, but no, I can't really see it. Maybe the Vikings don't need anybody. They got they 2. But I'm not really sure. I can't see it outside the AFC.
No. Yeah. So that'll be interesting. We'll keep an eye on that. Obviously, if we hear anything, we will let you guys know either via Twitter or the next time we're on the pod. But keep your eye out, because we don't really know what's going to happen on this one.
Yeah, we really don't. But moving right along to somebody else, an ex-NFLer who chose college. Bill Belichick chooses the Tar Heels. I mean, Morgan, I don't know what you were doing these past couple of days, but I was shocked at this. I mean, apparently, this is a rumor here, because for those of you that don't know, Bill Belichick is in his 70s, and he's doing what all 70-year-olds do, date 24-year-olds, apparently. I should say all rich 70-plus-year-olds date 24-year-olds. So Uh, shouts out to his girlfriend for securing her sugar daddy. I can't begrudge him taking the Leonardo DiCaprio route. No shot to Leo. I know a lot of you women are like, Leo is great, but he's 1 year, he's 1 year past Leo's cutoff age. But I'm of the mindset that this is this was shocking to me, but then it kind of not got shocking once I heard that I guess his girlfriend goes to grad school there. I'm assuming because she's 24, so I'm assuming she's going to grad school there.
I did not know that.
That's the rumor. I don't know. That's the rumor. That she goes there. So I don't know if that's a teaching job. I mean, at 24, I'm assuming that's a grad school job. That's grad school, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. Here's the thing.
But yeah, I'm happy. Good for the Tar Heels. They got their man. I mean, short of Michael Jordan coming to coach one of their basketball teams, I think this is a real big get for UNC, because UNC football to me is irrelevant. But I know there's a lot of UNC fans and ACC fans that are like, no, we need them. So I'm happy for the UNC football program. Morgan,
here's the thing that I find. The reason why I think it makes sense. Now, I'm still shocked by it. I'm still surprised by it. I really thought he was going to come to the Giants, so I'm sad, trust me. But when he was talking about it and how he pitched it to the Tar Heels, he's not going in expecting to win championships. He's going in with the mindset that he's going to crank out NFL players. He's going to be a professional program, is what he calls it. And he's there to teach players and train players for the NFL. So I think that will be super appealing for some of these kids that aren't like 5-star recruits. Maybe they're lower 4-star and they know they're not going to start right away. They're going to go to these big giant programs. Well, the Belichick pitch to them will be like, look, come here and we will train you. We'll give you all the skills. We will train you for what it is like to be an NFL quarterback or an NFL running back or an NFL D lineman right away. We'll start your freshman year. We'll start training you in those aspects. We'll train you for the combine. We'll train you for this. And championships would be great, but that's not something that we're going to focus on. And I think that that's a really interesting route. And I mean, realistically, what NFL coach wouldn't trust a kid that's been trained and vetted by Bill Belichick? And Bill Belichick is like, no, this kid's the real deal. Once that came out, I was like, okay, I get it. Still shocking to me. I still am having a very hard time picturing Bill in the Carolina blue, but good for him. Like I said, I think that pitch is going to be obviously not going to get like the 5-star top recruits, but I think he's going to get kids who know that they are better than their scouting videos are, and they want to learn how to be ready for the NFL.
Yeah, I could see it. I mean, I just, great. Like I said, great for UNC. I don't know if it's necessarily great for Bill Belichick, but at this point, he's got to do what he's got to do if he wants to get back in the football, if that is what he wants to do. I just think that, running a college program is different than running an NFL program. Most of these kids, they care, but it's a whole thing that, I think it's going to be an adjustment for Billy B, but I'm sure he's up for it, I guess. But I pity that. I pity the kid that's like, I'm transferring because it's gonna be a little bit different when he can't cut players that he doesn't like, and he tells these kids stop celebrating, and then the next day that kid's transferring. So I think it's gonna be an interesting wake up call for Bill Belichick dealing with the current versions of 18 to 22-year-olds who don't really care about who you are and don't really care about your 6 rings that they were all like 0 years old for. So
yeah, that's true.
I'm of the mindset that we'll see. I think, like I said, it's great for UNC. I don't know if it's great for the football players and for Bill Belichick, but we'll see. They'll definitely get more NIL money for all their sports programs now. So that's good.
Yes,
good for UNC. But yeah, moving right along. Was this a big get for UNC and the ACC? So let me say, there's not many times where you see a new coaching hire and it's like a win-win-win for everybody. But this is a win for UNC football. Like I said, they're like UNC. We all know UNC, right? Championship U, but mostly in basketball, soccer, and every other sport that's not football, right? So like UNC is basically football program is there, but it's irrelevant to what they do. That's a basketball school. So I'm of the mindset that it's a big get for UNC. It's good for their football program. It's good for the ACC to have another good. They have a legendary coach in your conference. It's definitely a big get for them. Big get for the future contract with whichever program, with whichever broadcaster they wind up going to once this ESPN contract is over. I'm of the mindset that this is one of the rare win-win-wins for everybody. Maybe not for the players, but we'll see. Like I said, I mean, if we see a bunch of transfers in UNC these next couple of years, we know why. But I'm of the mindset this is the rare win-win-win for everybody. This is like one of the things that you see. Like this doesn't happen often where you're like, yo, do it, because this the only person this can go wrong for is Bill Belichick and the players. So,
and you want to talk about like TV deals and stuff. I mean, you better believe that most of his games are going to be on national television. Whatever way that these, you look at freaking Tom Brady, like he has commercials announcing what games he's announcing. Like, so it's going to be good for them. The ACC is continually struggling with money issues, so I think that this will be good for them to bring in some money via broadcasting.
Yeah.
So moving right along to
what does Belichick cover college football mean for the sport? Let's go with the overall before we get to the college. Like, I think this is good for college football. Good for the money, like Morgan said. Coming in, but I just think it means what we've always said, right? It is the professionalization, if I could make up a word, professionalization of what we already knew it was. It's not amateur. The NCAA can no longer argue that it's amateur when you got Bill freaking Belichick and you're coaching college football now. Like it is a professional sport now. You're seeing these schools hire GMs. Woj is coming to St. Bonaventure. I'm sure you'll see a lot more broadcasters, or as I like to call them, professional people who professionally are not good at reporting, that are better at other things, or believe they're better at team building. Like you see this with Vince Lombardi. We kind of saw this with the dude who's a former guy at NFL Network that's the GM of the Raiders that's sucking at his job. I am of the mindset that this is like I said, great for college football. And if you are one of those old schoolers, this should be the end of that dream that is going back to old school college football. Like once you get former NFL coaches coming to coach college football, it's over. Like the money's there, it's always been there, and now if you are a player, that means your NIL package should be doing this, going through the roof. But yeah, I think this means like college football is now the NFL's feeder league. That's what it is.
Well, yeah, and I think specifically kind of like what I was talking about earlier, that this might be the new format for some of these non-power, like lower level Power 5 conference teams, push to the players, hey, you might not win scholars, you might not win a championship, but hey, we're going to prepare you for the NFL. Make that be the main concern. And maybe kids will go to an Alabama for a year and feel like, shoot, I'm not playing. I'm not getting any better. What can I do? Transfer to a UNC, transfer to another program that's like this. So I think that it's going to, I think that if it works at UNC, there's a chance that it changes the way that some coaches attack recruiting and attack teaching at their practices and things.
I think that's going to be interesting to see how UNC does in recruiting, because again, that's not something that Bill Belichick does or had to do with professional players. So I'm of the mindset we're going to see how long Bill Belichick lasts traveling all over the country to try and get these guys. So I think that's going to be an interesting thing to see Bill Belichick and see if that gets a UNC some big time recruits. I don't think it will, but we'll see. So I think that's going to be interesting, as Morgan pointed out. But moving right along, we have the NCAA college football 12-team playoff rankings. And Morgan, before we get there, I think that our pressure campaign worked. Your school didn't get in because the committee must have been listening to this podcast, because I said that they would be making all these conference stuff irrelevant. So clearly the pressure campaign worked. The SEC, or as I like to call them, the Alabama boosters in our field, the former players and all the other dummies that were trying to do what they did to Cincinnati and to Washington and to Florida State last year. It didn't work this time. So I'm so happy that the committee listened and did not put an Alabama team that didn't deserve to be in there in the postseason, but they did put Tennessee in there. So, for for anything else, but I'm gonna share on the screen so we can get on this. But yeah, y'all, like the playoff rankings came out, and I don't know about Morgan, but I'm relatively happy. Besides Tennessee being in, bless you, in it. Now, no offense to our Tennessee fans that watch this. I just think y'all football program almost lost to Vanderbilt and didn't deserve to be in there. But that's where I'm at with it. But I will present this in a minute. But Morgan, I'm gonna let you go while I share this.
Yeah, I don't normally say this about like I don't know like college, because this only really happens in college, like college committees, I guess, that like vote on stuff. But I think they did a pretty good job. I was not disappointed. I kind of agreed with all of it. What about, do you? I mean, I don't really know, looking at it, like, where would you have made any changes? I don't really have any that I would have.
I think the only change I would have made, and I probably would not have, I know you got to value the fact that Boise State and Arizona State won championships, but I don't think Penn State should have fallen to 6, and that might have been my bias. I think I would have put them at 4 or 3, but I know you gotta value the fact that the only thing that Arizona State and Boise State have over Penn State is they won their conference titles. But other than that, I'm not mad at it. I'm glad, I'm happy for Arizona State and Boise State. We'll see how long they last. But I have said before that I think this is gonna be basically a Big Ten championship final. So, I think that there's gonna be a lot of schools that are gonna be upset when they have to face I think we might be looking at, I think Clemson has a chance against a Texas team that I don't think should be there. But I think that Texas and Georgia, I think this is the one year where we'll say that the SEC isn't really good. I think Texas and Georgia aren't long for this, but I have like I said, this is the one time where I can say I have no qualms with it. But we'll talk about this more next week, because as you guys see, based on what I'm sharing, the first round starts next weekend. So December 20th to the 21st. So we will definitely be talking about that, hopefully. So but yeah, I don't have any big issues with it. So we're kind of answering this. No big issues for me. I agree mostly. I think that my biggest gripe is Tennessee and Tennessee being in, but I'm not. Tennessee will probably lose to Ohio State, so they won't be in here long. So I'm of the mindset that I won't get into any more predictions, but I'm of the mindset that I'm glad that the pressure campaign worked, and I'm glad that the committee came to their senses and didn't put Alabama in here, and didn't devalue SMU. So I'm happy. I'm happy that happened. I'm happy that it seems like there's equal representation for everybody. Obviously, the Big Ten has the most schools in here with 3. So we'll see. Like I said, it'll probably end up being a Big Ten final, because the Big Ten is really just that good.
Yeah. The Big Ten this year is. Sorry, I gotta go grab my phone. I realize I don't have it. Big Ten this year is it's different, and it's. I'm sure, honestly, a combination of they have their money, the rights that they have from the TV deals are incredible. Their donors, the schools are just so big. The donors care so much. They're able to do crazy things with NIL, you know, and I don't think you can put too much value on this too. The Big Ten, a lot of the schools are good schools academically as well. And for some people that matters. And I'm not saying for everybody, and I'm not saying that every SEC school is not a good school or whatnot, but you know, Michigan is an incredible school. Penn State is an incredible school. You know, Ohio State's a really good school. All these big schools are great schools, and academically, you know, I think that people want to go there. And so the Big Ten is just, and I mean, it's massive now, the Big 25 or whatever we're going to be at in the next couple of years. But yeah, it's incredible. And yeah, I'm excited. And, you know, for someone who works at NBC, obviously it's great to have all of those schools there, because, you know, that's what we like to see.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was on mute. I just want to highlight this history that's happening here, because I think, Morgan, you can stop me if I'm wrong, because you brought up NBC. This is the first time that somebody else will be broadcasting a Notre Dame game.
A Notre Dame game. Yeah, everybody was talking about it yesterday. Like, it's going to be so weird not having it be us, blah, blah, blah. And I was like,
the Battle of Indiana. You know, Notre Dame versus Indiana. So the battle of who really runs Indiana. So we'll see there. Like I said, predictions to come next week in our fully loaded show, because, you know, we'll talk about whether we'll do the Christmas or whatever. But, you know, we stay tuned for the fully loaded show, I guess, next week about this. But yeah, moving right along then. To the big news that has set Philadelphia ablaze these last few months. Philadelphia Sixers get the first bills for their new arena approved by Philly City Council's Committee of the Whole. For those of you that are like, wow, that's a big word salad. Yeah. Philadelphia City Council is very magnanimous, as Morgan knows. If you've ever had the fortune or misfortune, depending on how you want to word it, of covering local anything, municipal governments, you know that city councils, or whatever y'all want to call it, Philadelphia's old, they call it a city council. I know some of y'all got town councils, whatever you want to call it, the annoying middlemen and middlewomen of that. But, you know, I'm of the mindset that, you know, this is, I said a few months ago, those of you who watch this show remember that I had no sourcing on this, but I said before, this was a done deal, that these people who are fighting, you know, all power to them. They were fighting a losing battle. And, you know, if you were paying attention, and you've been paying attention to my Twitter and my Facebook these last few months, I've all but told people that this was done and sealed a long time ago. Like, in Philadelphia, people who are not from here or move here, they think that emotion and all that matters. And Morgan knows, because I've told her before, no one really cares about emotion here in Philadelphia. Like, that doesn't grease the wheels. We do not really care about tears and all this other stuff that people be doing about pollution and other things. Just because Morgan knows from visiting the city, she finally broke that streak of never coming to Philadelphia. She came here, what was it, last year?
Yes.
Yeah. So, you know, it's a dense city. It's a very dense city. It is not New York or DC. Those the certain arguments that were going on here, I just tweeted about how feelings and lies took over this argument. Like, you know, originally the Sixers, who have been very transparent about the fact that they do not want to stay in South Philly anymore because they rent, that they are the main tenants, but they share responsibility with the Flyers and everything else, and they want their own building. They've been very transparent. Chinatown has also been very transparent in the fact that they do not want it. And I've had a lot of people have been asking me about this who are fans of this show, like, because the location has gotten really confusing. This is not technically in Chinatown. This is a mall that will be becoming an arena. And this is, you know, on the edge of Chinatown, but not in Chinatown. So, you know, there's been some gentrification arguments, which, you know, they've also done studies saying that because Philly is an up and coming city, Well, I mean, it's there, but it's also up and coming because younger people are moving here, driving up property taxes, doing basically what happened in Morgan's home city of DC and all those surrounding areas. Our age group moves in, the prices do this, gentrification comes shortly after. So there's been some studies that have come out. There's also, y'all probably have all heard about this survey about 69 or 70% of people didn't want the arena. And it has come out that there's been some things with that study of who they actually surveyed and stuff. As sociologists in here, I can tell you that, and as Morgan knows from living in DC, it's all about how you word polls, how you word surveys. You can make things sound different just based on the sentence. So there's been some methodology questions that have come up with that survey that a lot of people who the No Arena folks want to say happen. So majority of this city, I think, kind of knew this was coming. The Chinatown folks got a surprise yesterday, which I don't think should have really been a surprise because I feel like once the mayors and the unions here came out and said, hey, we want it, it was a done deal. Now this first hurdle is cleared. They will vote on it next week. So, I fully expect that vote to go the way the Sixers wanted to go. It's just a matter of how many no votes will happen. It was 12-4, 13-4 yesterday. It's pretty much a guarantee because Philly doesn't have to pay for it. It's $1.3 billion. No one's going to turn down $1.3 billion. A majority of that money and tax revenue that's majorly going to the Philadelphia School District. No one was going to turn that down. It's unfortunate. And there are some legitimate arguments about gentrification. But the other argument which has come up is the fact of that I brought up and that a lot of people have brought up is that, in other areas of Philadelphia, they would have just bulldozed. In this area of Philadelphia, you were getting 60 plus millions of dollars as basically an apology for messing up your neighborhood and, making some things more unnecessary than it needs to be. Whereas you wouldn't see that in North Philly. You wouldn't see that in South Philly. You wouldn't see it in West Philly. The only other part of the city you'd see that in is the northeast Philadelphia, right? So there's been a couple of arguments with this that have come up that people on both sides can't really answer. There's also been some racial stuff there where people saying, "Oh, there's going to be looting when the Sixers lose. There's going to be this," because I'm like, are y'all basically trying to say that y'all don't want black people downtown when black people are there anyway? It's a majority black city. Just say it. There's been people trying to dance around that. There's just been a bunch of different emotions with this when there shouldn't really be. I think in this case that like I said, I think that there needs to be something down there. And I'm not blaming Chinatown or any of the neighborhoods that are affected by this, but I just think that the original location is going to be Penn's Landing, which would have been out the way, and would have not tore up neighborhoods the way this is about to tear up some neighborhoods. So I think that those people who knew that the Sixers were going to pivot from Penn's Landing to downtown should have put their weight behind that. And I think that would have been a sufficient thing, but it didn't happen. And, that's what it is. But moving right along, Morgan, you got anything to add? I know you're the non-Philadelphia, so I don't know what you got to add.
No, that is all you, Kylan.
You want to add your DC perspective since you know all about DC downtown arenas and what they do?
No, I don't know. I like having DC's downtown, so I haven't been in years, so I'm not the right person to talk to about that.
All right. So what does the new arena mean for Philly? I mean, it means ultimately that in 7 years from now, when Morgan's little girl is 7, and we're all dang near pushing 40, we are, that the Sixers will be in the downtown Philadelphia arena. It means that SEPTA's about to get a lot more money to, be even better. It means that Philly is becoming open to not just having a bunch of arenas in one place, congesting South Philly, and to putting stuff everywhere else. I know people are in Philadelphia. We hate change, but I think that a downtown arena is what's been missing in Philadelphia. I think that there needs to be something down there. That mall is closing. There's nothing else down there besides the Reading Terminal, and you have a bunch of 25 and up year olds that have nothing else to do down there but to shop and work. And as Morgan knows from living in Connecticut, that gets pretty boring pretty fast. So I'm of the mindset that there needs to be something. You have a great theater program down there, great Broadway plays. You have great things downtown, and you need people down there. And with a mall that is not attractive anymore, you need something. And I think for 40 plus nights, the Sixers are top 3 in attendance. I think you will have a lot of people down there, which is great for businesses. Again, I am very sensitive to the gentrification arguments. I know people don't want Philadelphia's Chinatown to end up like DC's Chinatown, but I'm of the mindset that if protections can be made, ultimately, if you are which we are in a capitalist society, some of this stuff is the consequence of that. But I hope that Chinatown can be protected. The Sixers seem like they want to commit to doing that, but some things can't be helped. And so I'm of the mindset that Chinatown should do what they can to protect it. But, there's some things, as has come out during this time, the city basically had studies saying that in another 3 to 5 years, Chinatown is going to get gentrified anyway, just because that's the nature of the thing. And it's a very profitable land where it is. So I'm of the mindset that, this arena is going to be great. It's going to say that Philadelphia, outside of me just saying Philadelphia is great, it's going to show that Philadelphia is great. It's going to show that Philadelphia can handle big events. It's coming at the right time, right? A World Cup matches in Philadelphia this upcoming summer, All-Star game as well. Like, these next 5 to 6 years is going to be great economically for Philadelphia. But there are some things that need to be protected. Like I said, the gentrification argument, the traffic argument. You're going to have a lot of suburban people that are going to have to learn their subway and regional rail system. So get on that, kids. And the other big domino yet to fall here is, what is the school out there in Radnor, PA, or they've changed it, Villanova, PA. What are they going to do? Is Nova going to leave the Wells Fargo Center? I have no sourcing on this, but I'm going to assume that Villanova will take the cheaper deal and will probably go with the Sixers. And so the Wells Fargo Center will be in need of some tenants, because I just think don't you think that's a great recruiting chip for Nova? Like, we play where the Sixers play. I think that's a great recruiting chip.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing as there's an arena in Fairfield that technically it's in Bridgeport, that Fairfield U and Sacred Heart both used to play at, and now they both built their own stadiums. They don't play there anymore. And granted, it's great for the students because it's right on campus, but playing at these big time arenas is definitely a gigantic recruiting tactic for all of these players. I mean, that's like MSG, like that's a giant recruiting tactic for New York City schools. And I mean, even for UConn and things, if they all of a sudden were just like, nope, we're not playing any more games here, I'm not saying less kids would go there, but it would definitely be not as attractive, because playing at those kind of big performance venues, big arenas is such such a I can't even think of the word. It's a privilege, and the kids love playing there because, of course, who wouldn't want to play at MSG? Who wouldn't want to play at these gigantic arenas that are so famous, can hold 1 million people, are playing where championships and legends have been made? So, anytime you think about getting rid of something like that, and, schools not being able to play at certain places, it's definitely something that you have to consider. And I would love to hear what, Villanova and what some of the other Philly schools are thinking they're going to do. Are they going to build their own on campus? Are they going to keep the old arena and convert it into their arena? You never know. So,
well, I mean, Villanova does have, all these schools in Philly do have an arena. It's just that they play more of their Villanova specifically, because no other school does it, but Villanova, they play more of their high profile, like the Georgetowns, the UConns. They play them in the Wells Fargo Center instead of having those big time games in, I think it's called the Finnegan Arena, is what they call it. Finnegan Pavilion is what they call it. So they do have their own arena. It's just that they play their more high profile games in the Wells Fargo Center, which makes sense because why wouldn't you? So, that's why I said that, if you're Villanova and you're looking at that and you know that, hey, in 7, well, actually, they probably already having these conversations now. You know that in 5 to 7 years, maybe your lease is up. So you're thinking, okay, do I still want to play in the Wells Fargo Center that where I won't be able to say, hey, I'll have to say now, this is from where you're sharing the locker that Joel Embiid uses to you're now sharing Joel Embiid's former locker. Do I still want to have that recruiting advantage, right? And another thing that I think this means for Philly is there's going to be a WNBA proposal coming very, very soon from Philadelphia to get a WNBA team. So those of you who want a WNBA franchise in Philadelphia might be coming. So moving right along, though, as we move right along here to other news in Philadelphia and beyond, Philadelphia Eagles owner Jeff Lurie sells 8% of the Eagles to Ed Peskowitz's, try saying that 5 times, family trust. Morgan, because I need to take a sip, so I'll let you start here since I did all this.
Yeah, I don't know. I never really understand what the point of selling like 8% of a team is. Like, for the people selling it, I guess it makes sense. Like, for Jeff Lurie, like, sure, cool, like, you made money. But like the people who are buying it, like, what is it, just like a flex to be like, I own part of the Eagles? Like, what do you get from it? Season tickets? Like, there's got to be a cheaper way to get season tickets than that. I don't know. I never really understand this. It's kind of the same thing as like what Tom Brady did, like minority ownerships. I just don't really understand them. And maybe someday somebody will explain to me what being a minority owner like actually gets you, because currently I'm like, what does it get you? So I don't know. I mean, Kyle, do you know?
I don't. Unfortunately, I don't think the NFL, as Morgan knows from reporting and working with them, and as so do I, they're great to work with and for, but the NFL isn't really known for its transparency when it comes to this stuff. So we don't really know what it is besides the prestige, I guess, of saying, hey, we own 8% of the Eagles, and that is a flex, because I mean there ain't that many people rich enough to say that on any football team. So, the NFL just got its first black owners now with Tracy McGrady and Vince Carter. Speaking of the NBA, finally owning parts of the Buffalo Bills. So I mean, like, there is that, and we'll get to that in this next question. But specifically for the Eagles, I think this says that Jeff Lurie is making some moves. Now again, this is just a rumor. I don't know everything, because I don't want none of these people. But I'm gonna tell y'all some things that is moving around, and Morgan knows when I say stuff, I'm not saying stuff in a vacuum, but I also don't have any sourcing on this, so I don't want to lie and say, hey, somebody from the Eagles told me this, because that's not true. But the Eagles, this is a move that's very shocking, just because Jeff Lurie, even though he's from Boston, he doesn't make. I tell people all the time, the Eagles don't make moves in vacuums. Morgan's heard me say that a lot on this show. And this is a move that's very peculiar and very surprising. But once I started doing some digging, this is what I think this means, right? This is the Eagles' lease, right? This is one of the most secret things about that most people don't know is who actually owns Lincoln Financial Field. That is Philadelphia. Philadelphia, the city, owns Lincoln Financial Field, because you guys have heard us talk about this on the show before when it comes to Jacksonville, Atlanta. You're seeing this with the Bears, right? These billionaire owners, Jeff Lurie also being one of them, comes and say, hey, I want to build a new stadium, but I want y'all to pay for it. And so that is, I want y'all to pay the majority of it, right? That's what happened with Lincoln Financial Field, which is what happened with the Bills' new stadium that's coming as well. The city that the team represents usually pays for the majority of the stadium. And so this move, because I think they said that Jeff Lurie made about a couple $100 million or maybe close to $1 billion now off this sale. So what I think this is, and the rumor going around this city is that very, very soon, 8 years, so around the time the Philadelphia Sixers get their new stadium, the Eagles' lease is up at Lincoln Financial Field. And, so what I'm telling y'all is you should get ready for a new Eagles stadium. And the rumor is it will have, I know this is unheard of in the Northeast, but it will have a retractable roof / a dome stadium. I know, Morgan. I see your eyebrows raising now. I know y'all like, what? A Northeast stadium with a dome? I mean, I am, again, I'm not saying that, but that is the rumor going around that very, very soon the Eagles will have a new stadium, and it will not be in the complex. It will be across the street. The rumor is that it will be across the street at the NovaCare complex, which is across the street from the stadium. So it seems like the South Philly sports complex is dying by 1,000 cuts. The Sixers are leaving, and the Eagles will probably be going across the street and vacating the area as well. Or the link will be bulldozed for a stadium with a retractable roof, whichever comes first. But yeah, this is what this means. Jeff Lurie is making his moves in silence. The other thing is Comcast and the Phillies are trying to make that area like a big hub where they want to move people in, and the Eagles have not signed on for that. Obviously, the Sixers aren't going to be there, so they're not going to sign on for that. But, the Eagles, conspicuous by their absence, Comcast is struggling with getting them to agree to make the sports hub better. So I think that says it all right there, because the Eagles lease, like I said, expires in 8 to 9 years. So I think that a lot of Philadelphia taxpayers who are mad about not paying for a Sixers arena should get ready to be upset in 8 to 9 years when you are paying for that new Eagles arena. So that's what this means, at least for the Eagles. The Eagles are silently getting their ducks in a row to come and prepare to get a new stadium that will not be the Link if you're an Eagles fan. But yeah, that's what I think this means for the Eagles, that Jeffrey Lurie is slowly getting his ducks in a row to bulldoze the Link.
Fair.
Yeah. So moving right along to the bigger thing, as we said, what do we think are the reasons all of these owners are selling minority stakes of their teams? I think that they just want money, and also
that's what I was gonna say. I don't think there's any downside for the owners. I think it's weird for the people that are buying the minority stakes, because like, what does that get you? But I don't think there's anything wrong with it for the owners. They're just getting, it's almost like free money for them. Legitimately, it's almost like free money.
Yeah. And it's a better valuation. I think they said with the sales specifically for the Eagles, like the Eagles are like one of the best investments ever. I think it only cost them $100 million, and now they're valued at like 5 or 6. It might be $7 billion now after this sale. So it's a great way to, like you said, Morgan, artificially inflate the value of your team. You're the Eagles. If you're the Bills, who else sold minority stakes? So I just think it's great. Like I said, I think it's a financial flex. It's a financial flex on both sides, right? Because it's saying you're Jeffrey Lurie, hey, you own something that's so great that other lesser rich folks want to buy. And don't get me wrong, if you got enough money to buy a minority stake of the Eagles, you got money, but you ain't got money like Jeffrey Lurie got money, if you get what I'm saying. So I mean, to give some status to some poorer rich people. If you get, for the Buffalo Bills, it's what's the family, the Pagula family.
Yeah.
It's great for them to like not give some charity, but throw their friends or whoever a line, like throw Vince Carter and them and the other people who are also minority owners, throw them a line and be like, all right, y'all rich, but y'all not, but let me help y'all out with that status, right? So I think, like I said, like we said for the ACC, win-win-win, because you get to, if you're Jeffrey Lurie and them, you get to artificially inflate the value of your franchise, and who would have thought we would see this in the NFL? I mean, this is more what you see in the other sports, right? The NBA, the MLB, NHL. You don't really see this in NFL, but I guess it says a lot about their franchise. Now, what will really tell me something's going on is if Jerry Jones starts selling the minority stake in the Cowboys.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, but moving right along to what happened last night, Morgan told me this was a crap show. She said something else, but I'm cleaning it up. This is a crap show. So we're going to move right along to Thursday Night Football, which I admittedly did not watch. So I'm going to lean on Morgan.
And good for you, because no one should ever be subjected to that level of football play. It was probably one of the worst football games I've ever seen in my entire life. It was 3-3 at halftime. I guess sometimes when you get down to the end of the season, this is kind of what happens. Teams get really tired. There's been a lot of games recently, so I understand it a little bit, but man, it was bad. It was bad. It was bad. It was not fun to watch. Neither team could do anything. Puka Nacua made some great catches. I guess that's about the highlight of the game. The kickers were on point. They kicked some great field goals, but I mean that's really all there is to say. It was not a good game. Right. I'm sorry for those of you that spent your Thursday watching it. I told Kyle and I watched the Notre Dame UConn game, which we'll get to in a little bit, and then I turned this game on. And what a downshoot from a great game to just a horrendous game.
Yeah, I think it says a lot about a game like this where, we had a linebacker who was mad that he lost his job to Dre Greenlaw, and he walked out. So I think it says a lot more that we're talking more about the drama that happened. In this case, it was all technically on the field, but off the field, he walked out. What's his name? Devin something. He walked out, which I can understand. You're mad because Dre Greenlaw hasn't played, and I can totally understand that. But in football, I think that this game said a lot more about the 49ers than it told me about the Rams. I mean, we'll get to this in a minute. We saw the Rams outgun the Bills. I told Morgan this would happen because like I tell everybody, like the Bills they're a team constructed around Josh Allen. And the other side of the ball, Josh Allen doesn't play on the field. So I knew their defense would get torn apart by Matthew Stafford. I think I said that last week that they would probably win, but their defense would get torn apart. I'm of the mindset that the 49ers are a crap show. The 49ers have a lot going on. Last week I said they should fire John Lynch. But after what happened last night, even though I didn't watch it, I think Shanahan should be on the hot seat. I know Morgan's been apprehensive to say that. I know I've been the main one beating that drum. But I think after everything you've seen, Deebo Samuel doing what a lot of people thought A.J. Brown was doing, throwing shots at his quarterback and his offense and his coordinator, I don't think this can be saved. I think that the 49ers are a team that looks like they're on their last legs. And I don't mean that they won't be back. I just mean they're on their last legs when it comes to this iteration of the Niners, right? That they might need to fire the coach, fire the GM, get rid of Deebo Samuels, get rid of Trent Williams, get rid of all their drama-filled and old-time players and just start over. I just think they're at the point where they just need to start over. I just don't. I said when this happened, I know Morgan disagreed, but I said that Christian McCaffrey trade, they sell too much for that. I think that their future, they mortgaged their future for no Super Bowls. That's what they did. And, sometimes it works, like the Rams did it and it worked. And sometimes you're seeing the opposite of it with the 49ers. Now, next year, they could fire John Lynch, might be the problem. And they fire John Lynch, get a GM in there that know how to build a team. And maybe Shanahan saves his job. But right now, I'm looking at both Shanahan and Lynch. If I'm Jed York and saying, both of y'all might not have a job at the end of this season. Morgan?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like we talk about the 49ers every week, and it's the same thing where it's like they're inconsistent. What are they doing? Well, I just think that if they could pack it up and just be like, we're done for the season, they should, and get a start on next season. That's kind of my whole thought on the 49ers right now.
Right, but do you think, if you're saying you're packing up, are you with me? Do you think that Lynch or Shanahan or both should be gone?
I don't think Shanahan should be gone, but I think that John Lynch should be, only because I said this last week. during an off season, you can't just do nothing. You can't just not get new players. You can't just rely on all of your older players to make it through an entire season after playing in the Super Bowl. And, it's not a fast turnaround. So you got to go out there. You got to get some young players. You got to get some backups that are, comparable to your starters. And I'm not saying they have to be like, obviously there isn't a Christian McCaffrey. He's one of one, but somebody who can play similar to him so that when the time comes, if he gets hurt, they have somebody, and it's not like, oh shoot, now we're done.
Or in this case with McCaffrey, it's not if, it's when. With McCaffrey, it's when. It's not an if. I'm of the mindset that I agree with you. I'm glad you're finally coming around to at least John Lynch got to go. So I'm of the mindset that if you construct a team, like again, Mike Shanahan, I'm about to call him his father. Shanahan did not build this team. It was John Lynch. So I think if, as you and I correctly pointed out, if it's roster construction, then your GM got to go. But moving right along to the Philadelphia Eagles cage the Carolina Panthers. Morgan and I both called this game. I think this game was a little bit more of a struggle than both of us thought it would be for the Eagles. But the Carolina Panthers are a better team. We have talked about how the Panthers, took the Chiefs to the limit. They almost took the Eagles to the limit. And so, the Panthers are an up-and-coming team. We'll see if they keep Bryce Young. But I think that they should. But they are a terribly run franchise, so we'll see what happens with that. But I think the Eagles, this says to me, I've said it last week, I'll say it again. The Eagles are a chameleon-like team, right? They are going to beat you. It's just a matter of how they're going to beat you, right? You don't get on a 9-game win streak now over nothing. Like they are, I've told Morgan this for a while. I've said it without saying it, that they have a really good defense. Now, it didn't look as good as it should have because Bryce Young was able to find the holes in the defense, but they're able to out-talent you. They do the opposite of what the Chiefs do. Like with the Eagles, it's not if, it's when they find a way to make a play and beat you. Like with the Chiefs, it's maybe they'll find a way to beat you and maybe they'll hold on to the lead. With the Eagles, it's not an if, it's when, right? It's when A.J. Brown gets that slant over the middle to get the first down. Like, if anything, the one thing I will say is, the only thing I can critique when it comes to the Eagles is that, I just wish that Jalen Hurts wouldn't have temporarily dumb plays like that slide at the end where he just should have thrown the ball away. But outside of that, I know a lot of people, stats lie a lot. In this case, the stats have been lying because people have been like, oh, look, he's not throwing the ball like he used to. Oh, look, he's not throwing 300-yard games. When you have a running back that's making the Giants look stupid and about to take Eric Dickerson's record in the next few weeks, you have to, like I said, be a chameleon, turn into what the game does. And the one thing we can say about the Eagles since Nick Sirianni got hired is they can adapt to whatever kind of game their opponent and whatever kind of thing the game is saying, they'll do it. If it calls for we got to run it down your throat with Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley, they'll do that. If they got to throw it over your head to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, they'll do that. So I'm of the mindset that I think this game says that, Jalen Hurts needs. I think if anything, what this game told me is Jalen Hurts needs Dallas Goedert or somebody, a tight end over the middle more than anything else. I think this game said more about the fact that he needs his safety blanket more than said anything else. I think the passing game will be fixed. We'll get to that. But I think the Eagles did what they were supposed to do. Like I said, I had them scoring 35, 40 points, so maybe I need to stop saying that. But Morgan had it more of a dogfight as it was. So I'm just of the mindset that, the Eagles look great. And, they'll get their last real test now in the Battle of Pennsylvania, which we'll talk about in a minute. But that's where I'm at, Morgan.
I'm not surprised to hear you still being like, yeah, they look great. They look great. Okay, they struggled against the Carolina Panthers.
So did the Chiefs.
That's fine. But, I will tell you, Bryce Young is playing better. But I hope this is all I'm going to say. I hope for your sake that this is not the beginning of the end like it was last year.
I don't think it is. I think that this is a way more mature team. I think that
What do you feel? How do you feel about I just feel like Jalen Hurts is not playing what we all thought Jalen Hurts was playing. I mean, do you think that there is real stuff going on in the locker room, or do you think it's all fugazi?
Here's what I'll say, right? I think that A.J. Brown is not Deebo Samuel. I think that when he said passing, I think many people, like when I heard the quote, I thought he was talking about Kellen Moore and Nick Sirianni. And the way you've heard me say this, even when I say the Eagles are playing great. I've said that first quarter, you read any of y'all who read the articles, you hear me say all the time in these articles, I'm one of the few Eagles reporters that say it, that the fact that they can't score in the first quarter is a problem. And I think that's Kellen Moore and Nick Sirianni outsmarting themselves. I don't know which one, because I'm not – those are meetings that obviously media people we don't have access to, right? I don't know between Nick Sirianni and Kellen Moore who constructs the first quarter script. I don't know. I don't know why they play so stupidly in the first quarter, but then they lead the league in scoring in second, third, and fourth quarter. So I'm of the mindset that Jalen Hurts, I'm of the mindset that at this point right now, all they're asking Jalen Hurts to do is essentially sometimes throw the ball, but majority of the time, hey, we got Saquon and we got a very, very good offensive line. Hand that ball off. We don't need you at the moment. And they haven't needed him, right? Have they really, like, he's made plays. He was the one that really sealed that game with that run and putting them in position to win. Like, again, I am of the mindset that there's no drama here. They're really good friends. And I think friends fight. And as long as, they're not doing with T.O. and Donovan McNabb, or more T.O. than Donovan McNabb. But if the beef isn't forever like it is with T.O. and Donovan McNabb, then it's good. Like, I have seen some drama between quarterback and receiver, being a Philadelphia sports fan. And since I've been covering the team, I don't think that there's anything really, really wrong, because if it wasn't for Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown would still be in Tennessee. So, I'm of the mindset that they're really good friends, and I just think that it's manufactured. I think that there may be some beef there, but it's manufactured. But the outlandishness, the PFTs, and everybody else talking about, are they going to explode and this and this? I just think that's it's what not you and I, but it's what people do for clicks. I think that it's a lot of money. Like, the Eagles are on a 9-game win streak, right? And people, not us, are looking for something to say. Like, you and I wouldn't even be talking about this if it wasn't for Brandon Graham. I am of the mindset that as far as for this week, if it wasn't for Brandon Graham, we'd all be talking about, well, what did AJ mean when he said passing, right? But I love BG, but I think this is a case of there's no fire, there's no smoke here. There's some smoke, but I mean, I think it's more with Kellen Moore and Nick Sirianni than it is with Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. I don't know if I agree, but I will let you.
Well, we'll see, man. I see. Here's why I don't think a collapse will happen, right? And then we'll move on. I don't think a collapse will happen just because they have more mature coordinators. Vic Fangio is coordinating a number one defense. The Giants aren't the only team that looks stupid. The Dolphins look stupid letting Vic Fangio go. And it makes me think that they just had veteran players. And I think this gels well for the Dolphins. I know Morgan doesn't like the Dolphins anyway. So but I think it gels well for the Dolphins. Like, they seem like a team that, like, expects a team to lay down. And so I think Vic Fangio was showing a lot of people that he still got it. I'm of the mindset that I think that Saquon Barkley has never won this many games in his life before, so he's not trying to lose. So I think that if there is a collapse, I think that this team matured last year, and I think that the maturity will outshow the collapse.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, so LA Rams outgunned. This is why, last thing. But this is why I say it's better to go through, because the Sixers are going through this now. It's better to go through turmoil early in the season than late. Last year, they went through it late, right? Now, this year, they went through it early, so they were able to build from last year into this year and make the changes that needed to happen to not collapse. So That's what I mean when I say if you want anything for what I'm saying, the Eagles are 1 and the Sixers, which we'll get to later, are about to do the same thing. But the LA Rams outgunned the Buffalo Bills. I think we both did. You said Bills, right? Did I say Rams, or did we both say Bills?
I think I said Bills for sure.
And I say Rams.
Probably.
Yeah. Okay. So the Rams proved me right. I said that this would be a test for that Bills defense, but it was. They hung 44 points on them. Like Matthew Stafford still has it. The rest of the team doesn't, but Matthew Stafford still has it. And I said Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp would test them. Now I did not account for Kyron Williams, but I mean I just think the Bills defense isn't really all that. It's okay, but Josh Allen has to drop college football numbers to win games when it matters, right? 42 points. That's nothing to sneeze at. 360 yards, 3 touchdowns. But he has to throw. He has to be like Tom Brady in the Super Bowl against the Eagles. Throw for like 500 yards. Throw for like 5 touchdowns to make up for the fact that his defense is going to give up like at least 20 points, if not more than that, depending on who the quarterback is. And so I'm of the mindset that, the Bills are a really good team, but they're going to be let down by their defense. And the Rams are a scary team. If you're not the Eagles, the Rams are if you're not the Eagles or the Lions, the Rams should scare you. Morgan?
Yeah, I just think that the Bills are the team this year.
In the AFC, right? Or you're saying overall?
I'm feeling overall. I don't know. I'm just feeling like I don't know. I just have this like gut feeling that the Bills are going to do it. They just find ways to win. And I know so do the Chiefs. So do the Eagles, so do all the other teams, but I don't know. I feel like I'm riding with Josh this year.
I don't think the world is ready for that Buffalo Bills Eagles Super Bowl. I don't think the world's ready for that level of craziness.
That level of crazy and fandom.
But hey, I'm not the. You got anything to add on this game, like other than what I said? No.
No, it was a shootout. It was an offensive domination. I mean,
we called that.
It was crazy. So
what's up, RC? Nah, man, you on time. You on time, brother. You on time. But yeah, it was a crazy game. It was a college football game for real.
Literally.
Yeah. But shouts out to RC. Definitely comment, y'all. But the Kansas City Chiefs survived against the Chargers. Now, the Chiefs basically came back in this game because the Chargers dominated this game. But I'm gonna let the woman who actually worked the game talk more. Start this one.
I mean, this game was so bizarre. It was so perfectly Chiefs. It looked like LA was hitting on all fronts. LA was making passes. Herbert looked great. Everything was happening. And then, there's this crazy field goal at the end, and it freaking doinks in. Only the Chiefs can have a field goal doink in to win a game. They are lucky right now. They are. Sometimes they say, it's better to be lucky than good. And I think they're lucky and good right now. And, as for people that are non-Chiefs fans, I know you're just hoping that their wheel finally spins to the bottom because they are using all the luck they have right now. I don't know if this luck can hold out through the playoffs, but God, they're the team I just wouldn't want to play. I don't care how poorly they're playing. They find frustrating ways to win the game.
Yeah, I mean, as somebody who's a witness to this, when they beat the Eagles, it was a frustrating way to win the game. But yeah, I am on the mindset. Obviously Morgan did more and did front and behind the scenes than I did on this game. But I just think that this is the Chargers in a nutshell, man. I mean, we talked about the Chargers. They're like the ultimate front runners, even with a new coach. You can't change the culture. Like I was saying. I didn't text Morgan, but in my head, I was saying this game's too close. They're keeping the Chiefs in this game. They're not killing the Chiefs. Like, some teams they have to get over that mental edge. Like the Bills just got over it. But the Chiefs still have this nostalgia. It's like, you saw this in golf with Tiger Woods, right? We all used to say it growing up. Like, if Tiger Woods is close, like the Phil Mickelson and them. We'll get to him too. Phil Mickelson and them will just, something will go wrong. They'll have a triple bogey, or Dan's, Morgan's husband Dan is more the golf person than I am, so I hope I'm getting the terminology right. I know he watches this sometimes. Did I get the terminology right? Triple bogey or something like that will happen. They need an eagle to beat Tiger, and they don't get it. They do something else. Like Michael Jordan is right there on the court, and the person airballs it when it could have sealed the game, and it doesn't work. I think the same thing happens with the Chargers. Like, they just know Patrick Mahomes is on the field, and they just can't. They can't beat the guy quarterback. And I think that's what happens with a lot of these teams. Like, they know Patrick Mahomes is on the other side, and they just can't execute right. Like you said, luck. Some of it is luck, but some of it is just that it's Patrick Mahomes, man. And people are just scared of Patrick Mahomes. They might not say it, but Patrick Mahomes wins these. Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and them win these games simply by showing up. Because as soon as they enter the tunnel, as soon as they get the smoke screen and everything, like in the back of their opponent's mind, they're like, "Yo, that's God over there, man. We can't box with God. We got a non-functional Justin Herbert. Like, we can't beat him." That's what they saying in their minds. Like, and I think what happens mentally in the back of their heads comes out. Like, they miss field goals. Justin Herbert overthrows a couple of receivers, and he has like basketball players for receivers, so it's hard to overthrow them, right? And it just happens. That's what happens. I mean, Morgan says it's better to be lucky than good, but football, sometimes I just think that Patrick Mahomes and them win these games because in the back of their minds, it's like the Jordan and Woods syndrome. Oh my God, he's on the field. Oh my God, he's going to do something. He's going to do something. Like, even when the Bills won, I was like, nah, he's going to do something. It's too much time. So that's just me. I'm not playing on the field. Morgan's not playing on the field. So can you imagine these players? Oh, man, 2 seconds left. Patrick Mahomes is going to do something. like you don't believe he's going to win. You don't believe he's not going to do anything until the clock strikes 0. That's the advantage that they have.
I mean, it's something. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. Like, I like the Chiefs. Like, I like the Chiefs. I like the Chiefs. I like Travis Kelce. I like Patrick Mahomes. But, like, God, and thank God my team is not good this year, so I don't have to worry about it. But, like, it really is. It's like, and I have to say, like, I know you kind of touched on this a little bit, but, like, this year it's like not even the refs. You know what I mean? Like, it's not even like the refs are bailing them out with like pass interference plays, like blah 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 blah. Like, I like, yes, a little bit they do, but like not in years past. These are just like crazy, bizarre circumstances that like they just win, and it's like you're watching it and you're like, this isn't happening. Like, if again, I've said this a million times, like, if I truly thought that the NFL was scripted, which I do not. I work in the NFL. I do not think it is scripted. But if I was one of those people that believed that it was scripted, the Chiefs would be, I think I said this last year about the Chiefs too, with Taylor Swift and this and that. And now T Swift is back. She's going to be back at all the games. So I don't know. I good luck to anybody that's playing the Chiefs. That's all I got to say.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't know how many people have put it the way I just put it, but I think that's what it is, man. These teams just beat themselves, and in the back of their heads, they know Travis Kelce, not Travis Kelce. They know Patrick Mahomes is on the other side of the field, and this is why both of us need to be on somebody's national program, because I don't think anybody's put it to y'all like I just put it with the Jordan Wood. It's the Jordan and Wood syndrome. It's like, oh my God, the God QB is on the other side of the field. And unless you're beating him by like 20 points, like if there's 15 minutes or so left on the clock, he has a chance. Like, it's not even with Tom Brady. Like, Tom Brady didn't have the mystique that Patrick Mahomes has. This is what I'm saying. Like, Tom Brady wishes he had the mystique that Patrick Mahomes has, because, I'm not in locker rooms of these losing teams, but I just think in the back of their minds, they just know. They know God is on the other side of the field, and if we don't do something spectacular, he's going to do something to beat us. And that's what happens all the time. Like Morgan said, just like clockwork, it just happens. A joint field goal, a tip, even though this is more the Commanders than him. A tipped Hail Mary that just goes perfectly to Mecole Hardman. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but something like that. It just happens. It just is what it is. But moving right along to this week, the Detroit Lions versus the Bills. Oh, the ultimate test. I think for this one, I'm a big, I obviously like when it comes to this, I'm being objective, but the fan side of me is saying go Bills. But I don't know. I don't know, Morgan. This game, I think is going to be a trench war. It's going to be interesting to see if Josh Allen can tear up the Lions defense, because the Lions defense, even though they have like you and I in the secondary, like they're still holding up. They don't have Aiden Hutchinson, and they're still able to get like 4 or 5 sacks a game. Like, I think this game is going to be a trench war. Do the Bills' offensive line do what they couldn't do against the Rams' offensive line and dominate? Or does the Bills' defensive line and does that Bills' secondary do enough to beat tight end you over there in Buffalo? And I think it's hard for me to say. I'm hoping the Bills win, but my heart is saying that the Lions get a signature victory and that this is another game that is very close. But I'm going to say 30-27 Bills. 30-27 Lions. I want it to be the Bills. Morgan can tell you this is the rare time where I will say that, selfishly, because I'm putting the reporter hat off right now. I'm being a pure. This is Kylan Watson, the Eagles fan, talking right now. I want the Bills to pull off the upset because the Lions, as we've said the last couple of weeks, speaking of luck, I don't think anybody's been more lucky than the Lions over the last 2 weeks, right? The Lions should have at least 2 to 3 losses, but they still have that one loss. So, I'm hoping the Bills do what the Bears and the Packers couldn't do. But I just think the Lions are looking like they're just on a mission to at least get back to that NFC Championship game and a date with the Eagles this year. So that's where I'm at. Like, I just think the Lions are going to do just enough to outgun Josh Allen and the Bills, and I think the Bills are going to have some questions. Can they really beat any of the good teams in the NFC? Because we know they already lost to the Eagles last year, so we know they can't do that. And so we'll see what they do against the Lions. But this is one of the things where my brain is saying one thing and my heart is hoping another. So, but I'm going to go with my brain, 30-27 Lions. Although I want it to be the opposite way. Morgan, tell me why I'm wrong, or tell me why I'm right.
I think it's going to be the Bills. I just said I'm riding with the Bills this year. It's going to be such a good game. I think this is going to be the best game of this week.
Yeah, it'll be the second best game.
I think it's going to be the Bills. I think that, like you said, the Lions have been really lucky, and I'm hoping that their luck kind of runs out a little bit. They are missing, they're not missing any, people specifically besides Hutchinson, but, they're just missing some, key just parts of a football team.
I mean, they are missing most of their secondary.
And I don't know, is Keon Coleman coming back this week?
I think he's practiced. If he hasn't practiced, I think he's practiced. So.
Okay, good. Well, I am all in for them. I think that Josh Allen went God mode last game, and I think that his players are going to step up and be like, you do not have to go God mode this game. We are going to help you, which I think is what he needs. He needs them to come and help, and I'm hoping that that's what they do. They probably hopefully feel bad. They were like, we let you down last game and you had to do everything. Kind of the last 2 games. Josh has had to run, pass, catch touchdowns, which is crazy. So I'm hoping that this year he will come and get some help,
We'll see. I haven't seen it all season. Besides from the running back from James Cook, we'll see. But I know Morgan is ever hopeful that Josh Allen's teammates will bail him out, and I am not hopeful that he won't have to go God mode against the Lions to beat them. But moving right along to the Battle of Pennsylvania, the game that will be the best. I know Morgan just said this is these games should not both be on at the same time. I think it's a crime that these games are both on at the same time. The Bills and Lions and the Steelers and Eagles. It's great for the NFL, but bad for viewers. I'm of the mindset that this will be the best game because this is the Battle of PA. This is a potential Super Bowl preview. Could be. I'm on the mindset here that, obviously it's looking like George Pickens, barring a miracle in these next 2 days, doesn't look like his hamstring will let him play. So I think the Eagles get lucky there. And I think that without Pickens, I think Russell Wilson has to do what Josh Allen is going to get a little bit of what life is like. He's going to get a little bit of like what his life was like in Seattle before DK Metcalf and Lockett showed up, where he's just going to be making people the guy. And I don't think that's a recipe for success against Vic Fangio's defense and Guantanamo Island over there. I think that the Eagles defense will be looking for a get back game. Now I'm not saying that they dominate Pittsburgh, but I think that this will be the game where this is the Eagles defense's last, because after this is a bunch of losers. So after this game, no offense to your Giants, but you know what I mean. But after this game, I think that I think this is the Eagles. This is the Eagles' last chance to get like a staple victory, because this is a team that they might see in the Super Bowl, and obviously this is PA rights too. But I think the Eagles win this game. I think that I don't gamble, but I think you should crush those eight. The last time A.J. Brown saw the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think he dropped like 2 or 3 touchdowns. If Morgan remembers, that was that meme where like they had like 3 people on him and he still caught the ball. He was pointing it out. I think you should. I'm not a bettor, but I think you should smash those A.J. Brown overs. I think you should smash the 100+ yards and at least 2 touchdowns. So I think the Eagles. I'm going to go a little lower. I said that they scored 40 these last 2 weeks, and they haven't scored 40 since the Bengals game. So I'm going to go 33, 24 Eagles. That's what I'm
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going lower.
I think that the Eagles are a far better team than the Steelers. I think the Eagles are going to win 24-12.
Okay. I see she's staying them 20s for the year. This is why I'm definitely.
But I do think he's going to score a touchdown. I don't see a way. I just feel like absolutely hammer that he's a must. He's just definitely going to score a touchdown. So.
Okay. All right. So yes, that's our 2. We just highlighted the 2 best games, but the most interesting. We do this every week, so we got to do it. We got to keep it consistent. Morgan, you want to start? Why share this screen real quick? What's your most interesting? I know you.
Mine is the Bills Lions game. I already said that. I think that's just going to be the best game, the most fun game. I honestly think that Eagles Pittsburgh is probably like a close second. That's going to be such a good game too. I would have said that the Rams 49ers was a good game, but no, the Commanders should smash the Saints. Chiefs should smash the Browns. Bengals, who cares about that game?
Should be in the operative word with the Chiefs.
Like, how many points do you think the Ravens are going to score? 100? Like, they might score 100 points against us.
I guess the Giants, they might score at least 60. Yeah. They're coming off a bye week, right? The Ravens, because they didn't play last week, did they?
Yes.
They're gonna smash. They were gonna smash any team, but they're definitely gonna smash the Giants. Who's playing? Is Locke playing or no?
No. I think DeVito is playing. I think Locke has now a shoulder injury or something.
Oh, well, smash that Ravens over then. We're definitely low key becoming a betting pot. Bears Vikings. That should be a good Monday. Oh, there's 2 of them this week. Okay. Bears Vikings and Falcons Raiders. The Bears Vikings should probably be the better Monday night game. Yeah, I think we covered them. Well, the Packers Seahawks should be interesting. Yeah, I don't have anything. You got anything else?
No.
No.
Besides those games, I think it's going to be
pretty low.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right then. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed that college football NCAA NFL segment because we're getting into the last vestiges of college football, so it's about to become a basketball podcast real fact. Because Morgan's still hammering. The people want to know, Morgan, when is your? I know that you're busy and obviously baby and everything, but the people want to know when is Morgan's NHL corner coming back?
Oof. We can do it next week. I can definitely talk NHL next week for sure.
Okay.
Or maybe after Christmas. Maybe we start that after Christmas once college football is officially done, and that'll come back. Does that sound good, guys?
All right. Hey, that sounds good. But yeah, moving right along, the Philadelphia 76ers on a little bit of another win streak, 2-game win streak. Philadelphia 76ers, they beat the Magic, then Joel Embiid comes back, and lo and behold, they look like a championship team again. Joel Embiid, for those of you that want to know, Joel Embiid has been responding well. The 6-day break of not playing basketball really has helped. He's been a full participant in practice. And I just think Morgan was rolling her eyes when I said it, but it's looking good now. The run is coming. The Sixers will be it'll probably take them until mid-January, but they will be a top 3 team in the East very, very soon, especially if Joel Embiid's knee holds up. But I think that, I think the most important thing about the Sixers is that they're gelling together. I think that Magic game, because Joel Embiid didn't play, that was the game before Joel Embiid played. I think that they're coming together. I think the best lineup is with Jared McCain in there, Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, Gershon Yabusele. I think he's officially the power forward now. I said that before. I just said he would be the X factor. And Joel Embiid, I think that's their best starting 5 right there. I like what Kelly Oubre is doing, but I think Kelly Oubre is more of a 6th man than anything else. But, I'm saying the Sixers look great right now. The NBA, it's unfortunate that they're not in the NBA Cup, or I guess it's fortunate that they're not in the NBA Cup because they got all these extra days off. I know some people are like, the Sixers lost this NBA Cup and got 6 days off. What a punishment for the Sixers. I'm of the mindset that it was great. I was channel surfing between the Sixers Bulls game and the Eagles Panthers game. I know that's not a shock to Morgan. But I'm of the mindset that the Sixers look great. And, if all goes well and health holds up, they should be looking good. And now it's just about, can they do enough to gel and get some chemistry? Their big test will be the Christmas Day game against the Celtics, which we'll talk about, I guess, next week. Let me just tell you, I think the Sixers have enough, especially if Joel Embiid holds up to beat. I'm calling it now. The Sixers will beat the Celtics on Christmas Day. Y'all can laugh at me right now, but book it right now at 1:10 p.m. Before it goes bad on Friday the 13th. Kylan's calling it now. The Sixers beat the Celtics. It'll probably be a close game, but I think the Sixers win at least by 8 to 10 points. And send the Celtics and send a message to the Celtics because I think that they are definitely built to beat the Celtics. Yeah. Moving right along, this is kind of what we were talking about, the NBA Cup preview and predictions. I don't know if Morgan has anything to add to this. You've got OKC and Houston. You've got Atlanta beat New York. You kind of saw like how impressive that was. So you saw Trae Young, the ultimate NBA villain or MSG villain, I guess, rolling the dice on the Knicks logo. And I'm so glad that Jalen Brunson, shouts out to Jalen Brunson for going with the answer that most people would say. If we didn't want him to do that, we shouldn't have lost. So, shouts out to them. But I think this NBA Cup is going to be great. I think you've got OKC, you've got Houston, you've got Atlanta, you've got big cities, Houston and Atlanta in it. I know some people are like, well, look, the ratings are going to be down, but these are up and coming. Other than Atlanta, these are up and coming. Like OKC will probably be in the NBA Finals this year. I think this is great for the league because it's younger stars, right? Obviously, Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic are the current future of the NBA, but you got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you got Alperen Sengun, you got a bunch of good players in the NBA going along with this cup, and I think this just talks about a lot the casualification of the NBA, right? Like I think, and I'll get to this later. I think that there's that a lot of the ratings decline is not anything to do with the NBA. It's more about the hating old heads like Charles Barkley and them who make it. And this is why I hate. I personally, as a basketball head, I know Morgan loves it. Despise, and I don't think I've ever said this, or maybe I've insinuated it without saying it. But let me just say, this is why I personally hate the way inside the NBA is constructed with 3 NBA guys and Ernie Johnson just there to basically be comic relief and not really doing any of his journalistic integrity, right? Like this is why I say that I think it's horrible that they always win Emmy awards and for lack of the fact that they're the only weekly NBA program because they casualify the NBA and it's really that show and a lot of other shows like First Take and other people's fault that the NBA, it shocks people that they keep getting deals because I say the NBA benefits very, very well from having a distinction between local coverage and national coverage. This is why I think that all the national games should have a local broadcast because for basketball heads like me, I would rather hear the local broadcast than hear Charles Barkley and them and whoever's on the call talk about how upset they are that a 7-footer is shooting threes when that's the NBA now. Right? It is not the 90s and the 2000s NBA. And stuff like this, like, because people were expecting it to be Golden State versus the Knicks, and that didn't happen, and now nobody wants to buy tickets. It shouldn't be in Vegas anyway, if I'm being honest, right? The game before the championship should be at the best teams on the best team's home floor, right? And then if you want to make it a national game, then make it a national game. See NBA, because I know some NBA people watch this. I'm giving you free advice. Hire Morgan and I. We'll give you the free advice. Like, get a local broadcast. These games shouldn't be national because the national media don't know how to cover these teams, especially these newer teams that are just getting good. Great. I said this about the WNBA. The WNBA should take my advice. Do more local broadcasts and national broadcasts because the national media does not know how to cover these teams right or make people want to watch the game.
Watching the teams day in and day out. They aren't going to all the practices. I agree. I completely agree.
And this is why, people are like, why is the NBA down 10%? Why this? Why that? Because you got these national games with these people saying, oh, man, what's Jimmy Butler? Like, these NBA shows, like the national shows, are basically becoming trade news live with Malika Andrews and Stephen A. Smith because that's what it is, right? I didn't even watch their NBA show, but I saw all the Twitter clips, the X clips about, Shams Charania going back and forth with Jimmy Butler's agent about whether he's going to Phoenix or not. Like, this is what the NBA shows are coming down to. And this is why I said they should not, and I know I'm not in this business thing, but this is Colin, the NBA fan talking, not Colin, the media person talking. Like, I just think that, when you have these shows and basically, that these shows have basically before the game, after the game, and before the game even starts, they're talking about Jimmy Butler wants a trade. Is Joel Embiid going to Golden State? Knowing dang well Joel Embiid can't be traded, but they talk about that. Like, I'm of the mindset that it should be more local broadcasts than national broadcasts. That's the NBA I grew up on. That's the NBA. That's why it's $1 billion juggernaut now. The NBA should be more local broadcasts than national broadcasts because the national media, which I'm a part of, and so is Morgan, needs to earn the right to cover basketball. And if not, sort of like what happened with WB, the NBA, and their next broadcast contract, hint, ESPN, need to leave. Like I'm of the mindset that you don't make the NFL stuff nothing but Trade News Central. Why do you make the NBA stuff Trade News Central? Like, come on. And now I have to talk about and educate these people on why it's OKC and Houston and Atlanta, and Atlanta's in the game and not the New York Knicks because y'all have casualified the basketball audience, which y'all don't do in football, but y'all find a way to casualify the NBA and the NCAA. This is why most people watch March Madness than anything else, even though champions are made, as Morgan knows, in October, November, before you even get to March. But you got all these people trying to guess who's going to win when it's always UConn, when it's always the Blue Bloods. I'm sorry. I just went on a rant there. Right?
Okay.
Morgan knows I'm a basketball head through and through. I love basketball, and I think it is the national the national and international sport, and it needs to be covered like it is, instead of casualification, which is what is going on in the media and then the way we cover the NBA, and to a lesser extent what's going on in the NCAA too. But moving right along, unless did you have anything to add to that? I know you're not watching NBA Cup. Okay.
No.
You're gonna shock me and say you got something to add about the NBA Cup.
One day I'll shock you. I'll have a ton of analysis on it.
Yeah. Okay. Caitlin Clark was named Times Athlete of the Year for 2024. It's only right that I let Morgan go first here. So Morgan.
I was really proud of Caitlin. I know that we have given her a lot of crap for different things, the way she's handled herself in different situations, but I don't know if she took our advice and got a media coach or what, but she said everything right.
Maybe she's a fan of this podcast.
Well, yeah, maybe Caitlin's watching. Shout out Caitlin Clark. But she was brilliant. She accepted it graciously, understood that that she has gotten privilege because of the color of her skin, and I was really, really, really impressed with her. I'm happy for her. And you know what? It's the same kind of thing as Time Person of the Year. Like, they don't have to be your favorite person, but they have to be the person that was the most influential or the most famous person. I mean, it goes back to, and I'm going to say this, and I do not want anybody to think that I'm comparing these two people, because I am not comparing these two people. I am not. Okay? I'm not. But Time Person of the Year during World War II was Hitler, right? Like, it just is the most influential person. So regardless of if you think that Caitlin Clark is the best women's basketball player, is the best athlete, she was by far the most influential person this year in sports. And again, we can argue left and right about everything else, but you cannot argue about the fact that she changed college basketball, women's college basketball and women's professional basketball for the better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm of the mindset that, as RC said, Caitlin is goated right now. I'm of the mindset that the only other person that I would have accepted being the athlete of the year over her was Simone Biles, just because Simone Biles had a great Olympics. Or you could have said the swim team, the U.S. swim team, or Maryland's own. But I'm of the mindset that was a good thing. And like I said, she really did well. So much so that Fox News and them are upset that they're saying she got captured by the woke mob. And I'm all like, y'all really thought a college-educated 22, 23-year-old was with y'all? Come on now. But, I'm of the mindset that, she handled it correctly. She did a wave. I think I gained a lot more insight on her and how she actually feels. I'm glad, because I think she said it during the interview that no one had actually asked her about how she felt, honestly. And this is, I think, a shot at our girl Christine Brennan, because she was doing a book on her too. Like, no one asked her about how she felt about the way Dejanay Carrington was treated when she fouled her, or the other stuff. And this is the first interview that she had that was so all-encompassing, right? Where they asked her, hey, how did you feel about that Liberty game where what's her name kind of pushed you? And she was like, it was just a basketball play. And she was just like, I was shocked the way people overestimated a basketball play. Essentially, she didn't actually say that, but that's basically what she said, right? And I was just so happy. I'm like, see, this is a shot. Again, this is why I said that basketball as a whole, high school, middle school, college, NBA, benefits from local coverage, right? Like, I know the local reporters were asking her about that. I know the University of Iowa's paper was probably asking her about more encompassing questions than that. But again, national media types, they come in, they have their agenda, and they just want to ask questions. And again, I'm a member of the national media. I know a lot of national media people, right? I know some of them watch this podcast, and they're probably personally upset at me for calling them out. But this is the only way you do better, right? I am of the mindset that the national media types, as Morgan knows, they come in, they do their research. They got people that pay their research. Some of them use it, some of them don't. And they just come in with their agenda, and then they go on their shows, go on their podcasts and say, hey, I talked to Caitlin Clark, and I asked her this, and they have the clip and everything. But they don't do all-encompassing that stuff that you get with the locals, you get in a podcast like this, where I'm telling you, hey, this is what's happening. This is the bread and butter stuff, right? Like, I am of the mindset that, this was a great interview. Good for Caitlin Clark. Good for Time. Actually, like, the one thing you could say about Time Magazine is they do all-encompassing interviews. So good for them. Good for her. Actually showing that, like, she knows about. I look, like, I've given her crap, but like, my main problem was not with Caitlin Clark. It was with her fans. So I'm glad that she kind of casually did what Morgan wanted her to do. Told her fans to chill. And that's all. That's all. Now that they think that she's a part of the woke mob. Now maybe we won't have to deal with that type of conservative bias when the season starts in May. One can hope, right? I mean, I'm of the mindset. I'm of the mindset. I'm of the mindset. Yeah, like RC said. I mean, I think no one, again, RC. Like, I don't think any of us. Like, and Don Staley said, a lot of people said Caitlin Clark's likable. No one, I don't think anybody like personally hates Caitlin Clark. I think it's more about her fans than her. Like, no one, I've yet to hear somebody personally say, "Hey, I hate Caitlin Clark." Everybody admits she was a college phenom. She did great. I've admitted it. I like Caitlin Clark. Like, she wants to win a championship, which she didn't do at Iowa. She wants to win a chip, and I hope she does win a chip. But I don't think she needs to win over her peers. I just think that, people just wanted her. She can't please everyone, but people just wanted her to basically, like Morgan said a few months ago, just tell her fans to chill, right? And like, she hadn't said that yet, and maybe it's because, as she said, no one asked her. But I just think that Caitlin Clark just wants to live her life, and that's great. But I'm glad she acknowledged her privilege, as Morgan said, and she kept it moving. That's all we could ask, And that's all. That's all anybody. I'll say I won't speak for everybody. That's all I wanted. She gave me what I wanted, and I'm happy for her. Great for her. Like I said, the only other person I think could argue that was athlete of the year was Simone Biles. So moving right along to our last topic, UConn, Paige Beckers and them falls to Hannah Hidalgo and Notre Dame. And let me just say, man, Notre Dame is coming. I think UConn.
Hidalgo played a hell of a game.
Yeah, Hannah Hidalgo is the next name that y'all need to acknowledge. Like, Hannah Hidalgo is going to be that next person after Juju. Well, Paige is leaving after Juju and Ozzie and LSU and what's her name in LSU? Flage. Yeah, Flage leaves. Like, it's Hannah Hidalgo's league, man. Or Hannah Hidalgo's stardom is going to be on the rise in a minute. But yeah, like, UConn, they didn't have it. They couldn't make shots.
They couldn't stop the ball from getting turned over. That, I think, was a huge deal. Is that they just, like, when we were watching, I think it was the fourth quarter, like the first 4 or 5 plays were, turnovers, UConn turnovers, and you can't win a game when you're turning the ball over. And you want to talk about Hannah being just absolutely diabolical on that court last night. I mean, at one point, she was responsible for 71% of Notre Dame's scoring, regardless of whether that was her scoring herself or an assist, which is wild. So, I mean, that team runs through her, and if you can't shut her down, you are not beating them. And Paige and Sarah Strong still looks good. They both were in high double digits. Paige, I believe, got to 22 points. Sarah was at 14, 16, something like that. And, it's just they're missing AZ, which always is tough. And they just didn't have it. And, shout out to Notre Dame fans. They were absolutely ruthless. They were there in full support. The place was packed. So it was a great game. Like I said, much more of an enjoyable game to watch, even though my team lost than the Thursday night football game. But man, it's going to be a fun season for women's college basketball. There are some good teams out there, and UConn is one of them, but so is Notre Dame. So if you can't shut down Hannah, I don't know how you beat them.
Yeah, I still think UConn is probably going to be in the Final Four and probably win this year. I think that, they're going to benefit from the fact that they're the one true powerhouse school still left. So I think Notre Dame is coming, but the ACC is a gauntlet.
I think they'll figure out how to shut Hannah down. I think that it's just so early right now. And, I do think that some of these better teams will learn and will adjust their defenses so that, she can't help with 71% of the scoring. Yeah, I was actually going to say when we were talking about, I mean, the Hawkeyes look good. I don't know if they'll make it necessarily a crazy run this year, but I mean, they look good. But it is Big Ten basketball for women. They're not always the greatest out there, but I will say they look good, and I'm happy for you guys. I thought that this would be a downfall year for them, but it looks like they're kind of holding where they were when Caitlin and Katie were there.
I mean, I think that the Hawkeyes, the Big Ten on the women's side is kind of meh. So
yeah,
I'm on the mindset that they should be able to win. Stay in like second or third in that conference. But there's always a surprise. I think Maryland is coming. I think that there's a couple of teams that'll probably make some noise. We'll see. I mean, we didn't talk about it, but I mean, you're going to have some big boosters now coming into to college basketball. This has nothing to do with Iowa, but you see Alexis Ohanian, or as some of y'all better know him as Serena Williams' husband, is donating a lot of money to help the Virginia women's basketball program become more competitive in the loaded ACC. So I think that there's a lot of people coming, and I think that sorry y'all, phone's going crazy. But I think the Hawkeyes are good. I think that they have a chance, and the Big Ten is wide open, so I think they have a chance to at least make the tournament. Now, I'm with Morgan. I don't know how far they're gonna go, but because I think when you get into the tournament, your stars or role players have to play perfect. So we'll see. Bless you. But yeah, that's where I'm at with your Hawkeyes. I think they'll be fine. I mean, they did have that recruiting advantage of having 4 years of players learning how to play with Caitlin Clark and just probably just coming over. So we'll see. And also the transfer portal always can make you an LSU, so you never know. But moving right along to our shout out segment, I just did one of mine. Shouts out to Alexis Ohanian. Put this money where his mouth is. Millions of dollars, right? Like you've seen him and Serena buying not buying, but putting in the soccer teams for their daughter, and making her an owner of a soccer team and everything else. But shout out to Alexis Ohanian for putting the money where his mouth was. Morgan?
Yeah. Oh God, I had a shout out. What was it? I don't know. My brain is so fried. I had one and now I don't remember it. Oh, it's very, very, very frustrating. This is why I need to write things like this down. I don't remember it, but I'm just going to say shout out to my Washington Capitals, 10 straight road wins. They are looking the best they've looked in years, and Ovi's not back yet. So Ovi is starting to take some passes and things in practice. So hopefully we'll have him back on the ice shortly. So that is the goal for the Capitals. But hey, they're looking pretty good. It's super exciting for anyone that's a Capitals fan or anyone that likes hockey, honestly, because the league is better when Alex Ovechkin is playing, and in my opinion, when the Washington Capitals are playing well. And I'll give a shout out to the Yukon Huskies. The men's team is playing at MSG against Xavier tomorrow. It's a huge game. My husband is actually going to the game, which he is very excited about. He has some fancy seats. He's going with some friends. So shout out to the Yukon Huskies and the Washington Capitals. And hey, we didn't talk about it today, but shout out to all you Mets fans for cashing in on the Juan Soto prize. It's very exciting. He's a great player. He's a good human, good dude. We got to watch him in his formative years in Washington. He helped win us a World Series. So hopefully he can do the same for you guys, because I would have obviously preferred that he stayed on the Yankees. But hey, I'm glad for you guys. It's always good when you guys can get a star player like that. So we're going to move on to our he's not him, she's not her, they aren't them. And kind of while we're waiting for Kylan to come back, I found this, this kind of came upon me, I think it was last Sunday. I tweeted it for anybody that follows me. For what it's worth, we'll just start with this. Being a woman in a male-dominated industry can be difficult for multitudes of reasons. And I would say 90% of the people that females work with are awesome and inviting and great. But that 10% of the fans, of the media itself that doesn't believe that women have a place in sports is incredibly, truly frustrating. And I think you don't see it often publicly, but when you do, it's gross. And it's just like, I don't, everybody's entitled to their own opinions, obviously, of course, but maybe not to this extreme. So I'm pulling up the tweets so I don't miss it. So 6 days ago, so almost a week ago, this blue check mark on Twitter named TJ Moe, who in his bio has himself as a Christian, a sports, real estate, and culture, and contributor to Fearless with Jason Whitlock on The Blaze. He is a blue check mark. He's followed by the show that I work for, Sunday Night Football at NBC. So he is known, I guess, but he tweeted a picture of 3 women working on the, I believe it was the SEC championship. So it's Holly Rowe, Laura Rutledge, and I cannot make out who the third woman is, but they were doing a hit and pregame show. During the pregame show, nothing crazy, nothing during the game. This is during the pregame show. You can literally see there's no one in the stands. There's no fans there. It's not even players out on the field yet. This is so far before the game. Whatever. He tweets a picture of the 3 of them and says, "Who actually wants to watch 3 women stand around and talk about football? I do not." Cool. That's, why even say that? They were probably on the screen for 2 minutes. Like, you don't find their conversation interesting? Fine. That's okay. Just because they're women, you don't want to listen to them. They don't have any inside information. They've never done anything good. That's not fine. Like, there are times when there are 5 men on my screen that are talking about sports, and I'm like, you know nothing, and this is annoying, but I don't say anything. Doesn't matter who they are. If you don't like what somebody is saying on television, walk away. Go get a glass of water. Go get a beer. Go take your dog for a walk. Do whatever you need to do, and then come back and watch what is needed to watch. It doesn't matter what's going on. To say that just because there are 3 very qualified women talking about football on the screen that you think it's stupid and you don't want to watch it is not fair. Now, if you go through this man's deck of tweets, it is unsurprising that he feels this way. That's all I will say. But I wish that bigger platforms would take a stance. I wish that ESPN had said something. They didn't. Fine, whatever. I guess don't give the mouth breathers any
I mean, if they responded to him, they would have to respond to all of it. I mean,
yeah.
You're talking about
and the worst part is he doubled down on it. He was like, "Oh, look at all my replies agreeing with me." I'm like, "Oh, all your replies, the eggheads in the reply that don't have profile pictures that are probably bots or trolls." Like, he infuriates me. He takes over all of my "he's not him, she's not," just all of it, because nobody else even deserves to be talked about on my side besides, I don't even remember his name, TJ Moe. TJ Moe. So yeah, TJ Moe, you are not him, and I hope that nobody ever gives you an interview or a quote ever again. Not very Christian-like of you, I will say.
Morgan called that dude early. Like, it was what, Sunday night, and you were like, "This is my he's not him." And
yeah, I literally tweeted. I said, "Well, it looks like I found my he's not him quite early this week."
And I was like, "You got it." Yeah. I'm nothing if not negotiable. I'm like, "You got it." So Yeah, I think I got into it, but let me just say that my day anthem, since I already did it anyway. The old heads, the old, not you old heads that watch the show. Let me be specific. The old basketball heads, like Shaquille O'Neal and others, who feign ignorance and ask, why are the ratings down? And again, the NBA is a league. They don't really care. They care, but they don't care about ratings. And here's what I mean about that, right? Every league cares about ratings, but the NBA's audience is basically more. It ranges from 18 to about 40, and those people are the ones who are not watching games, but they're tweeting about it. They're retweeting highlights. They do all this stuff, right? That's what the NBA cares about. They don't care about the fact that, oh my God, only 1.5 million people watch the OKC Houston game. That's still like a top broadcast in the country, like y'all. Like people NFL these numbers. So not every league, not everything is gonna have 40 million people watching it, right? Like even the NFL barely gets that number when it's not the Super Bowl. Like they do the single digits. So it is one of those things. So my day on them are the old NBA basketball heads who have to get their lick back when it comes to these older players, right? They want to basically like down the talent of the league, right? The fact that Joel Embiid, Victor Wembanyama, Nikola Jokic are unicorns, right? They're doing stuff that 7-footers just shouldn't be able to do. And you got Shaq being like, hey man, the league's kind of soft now. I'm like, Shaq, you couldn't, and I love you, but you couldn't survive in this league where they got 7-footers popping threes. They're asking you to block shots. They're asking you to do other things. This is not Morgan and I's NBA. This is not the NBA we grew up on in the 90s. This is a new, this is the unicorn era of the NBA, y'all. Like, and if you're not with it, then you shouldn't be watching the games. Like, and don't talk about the NBA. Don't do anything with it because that's what it is. And these old heads, I think, are the reason why instead of 2-3 million people watching games, it's 1, 2, 2.5. It's not where it should be. And it's only because of these people and their casualification in the NBA. My other one, I'm going to steal Morgan's, Aaron Rodgers. Speaking of people who inserted foot in their mouth while being a personality on an ESPN show, he was talking about how ESPN basically is personality driven. While on the Pat McAfee show, I think Mina Kimes pointed this out yesterday, where she was like, he's insulting ESPN personalities while being paid to be an ESPN personality on an ESPN show who pays him to do what he does every week. Lord Jesus, Aaron, have some self-respect. But yeah, that's my he's not having. That's my day on them.
Alrighty, well, that is it for this week. Sorry, guys, I got to run. I got dance practice in about 20 minutes, so I got to go put my hair up in a bun so I look like an actual coach. But we will see you guys probably next week. We might not see you the week after that as it is Christmas week. We might just be taking some time with our families, but we will let you guys know. Watch the games this week. There's some awesome games. Report back to us. Let us know what you want to hear. Like, subscribe, share. Do it all. All right. Peace out, guys.
See ya. There you go. There it is.